Hey everyone, and welcome back to Abyssin. Today's story is wild. Two teenagers set out to explore a cave tucked away in the mountains of Wyoming. They found a narrow, barely known crevice deep inside and decided to go for it. What started off as a simple, thrill-seeking adventure turned into the worst nightmare of their lives, all because of one really bad decision. It was June 2nd, 2004. 9 teens gathered at the entrance of Tongue River Cave in Wyoming. It was a Saturday afternoon, and they were pumped for what they thought would be a chill little adventure. Barry Blaha and Donna Herbert, both 16, had talked the rest of the group into checking out this underground cave system. None of them had any real caving experience, but they were convinced they could handle whatever came their way. They showed up with cheap flashlights, some extra batteries, and a couple of headlamps they'd borrowed from someone's camping gear. They figured that would be more than enough light. Nobody wore helmets, nobody had legit calving gear, and none of them really understood just how dangerous things could get if something went wrong. The group headed in single file, walking deeper and deeper into the mountain, cracking jokes and laughing about how cool the whole thing was. At first, the main tunnel was big enough to walk through comfortably. They could even spread out and check out different parts of the huge opening chamber. As they went farther in, they came across narrow side tunnels branching off from the main path. Some of them led nowhere, forcing the group to backtrack and try another route. The cave walls were clearly worn down by time and water. Loose rocks, sketchy footing, obvious signs of instability for anyone who knew what to look for. But the teens were way too hyped to notice the danger signs. That's when Barry noticed something no one else had seen. A thin crack in the wall, partly hidden in the shadows. It looked like it might go even deeper into the cave system. It wasn't marked on any map. This could be their discovery, something that'd make them legends with their friends. They all gathered around the opening, lighting it up with their flashlights. The rock looked different here, fractured, loose, like it was being held together by nothing but time and gravity. When they touched it, little bits crumbled off easily. Still, none of that mattered to them. All they saw was the thrill of going where nobody else had gone before. Fueled by adrenaline and a hunger for adventure, Barry and Dana were the first to crawl in. The rest of the group stayed behind to check out other areas of the cave. The crack quickly got tighter. They had to turn sideways to squeeze through, then crawl on hands and knees, and eventually slide on their stomachs like soldiers in basic training. Despite the struggle, the tunnel just kept going. The tightest part was only about 18 inches wide and 24 inches high. Even for professional cavers with the right equipment, this would have been a brutal challenge. Barry, being a bit skinnier, went first, with Dana close behind. The space was so tight they had to empty their lungs just to inch forward. At one point, Barry got completely stuck. The tunnel had narrowed to the point that there was no way forward, no matter how much he twisted or pushed. The smart move would have been to back out, find another route. But teenage stubbornness took over. Barry wasn't ready to quit. He started trying to make room by chipping away at the rocks around him. He managed to get one arm free and grabbed a rock about the size of a volleyball that seemed to be blocking the way. Without really thinking it through, he started using it like a hammer, bashing the bigger rocks ahead, trying to break them loose. Each hit sent vibrations echoing through the tunnel. Dust started falling from the ceiling. This cave had been sitting here for thousands of years, but now it was being pushed past its limits. The cracked rocks were only stable because of a delicate, natural balance. And with every one of Barry's hits, that balance was shifting. Then the worst thing imaginable happened. A deep crack echoed through the tunnel. It was followed by the deafening sound of rocks shifting. A massive boulder, weighing over 300 pounds, broke free from the ceiling and came crashing down. Landing right behind Dana, the impact shook the whole tunnel. A thick cloud of dust filled the air, and when it finally settled, the awful truth set in. The boulder had completely sealed the exit. Barry and Dana were now trapped, buried alive in a space barely bigger than a coffin. What followed was pure claustrophobic horror. Barry was wedged in the tightest part, chest compressed, barely able to breathe. Dana was stuck behind his feet, pinned between him and the massive rock. She started hyperventilating, completely panicked. They turned off their lights to save battery. Pitch black. Total silence, except for their shallow breathing and the occasional muffled shouting of their friends on the other side of the rock. They were surrounded by literal tons of stone, and even the tiniest movement could trigger another collapse. Their friends tried everything, pushing the boulder, digging around it, yelling for help. Nothing worked. The rock might as well have been part of the mountain. Every failed attempt only made the fear worse for the two trapped teens. Time slowed to a crawl. The pressure from the rocks cut off circulation, causing unbearable pain. The air inside the little chamber got hot and stale. Every breath felt like not enough. Cramps set in from being stuck so long, but nothing compared to the mental torture. The sound of rocks shifting, water dripping, tiny unseen creatures crawling nearby. No light, no sense of direction, no idea if anyone would ever find them. Eventually, the group made the call to get help. Some of them sprinted back to the cave entrance and called 911. Rescue teams from Sheridan County were dispatched immediately and began gathering specialized equipment. It became a race against the clock. Rescue workers arrived with hydraulic jacks, winches, and tools designed for cave emergencies. But even with all that gear, moving a 300-pound boulder in a narrow tunnel was insanely difficult. Only 1 or 2 people could fit in the space to work, and every single piece of equipment had to be carried by hand through the cave. Every move came with risk. One wrong nudge and the whole tunnel could collapse again. The rocks were incredibly unstable, so everything had to be done with extreme precision. Hours went by. Barry and Dana were physically spent. Hypothermia and breathing complications were real concerns, especially since cave temperatures stay low and steady. Finally, rescuers managed to position the winch and began the slow process of shifting the boulder. It took insane coordination, pulling the rock little by little, without disturbing anything around it. When they finally cleared enough space to reach the teens, it was a moment of pure relief and pain. Both Barry and Dana's bodies had stiffened from being stuck so long. It took a while just to get them safely out. The walk back through the cave felt like being born again. Every single step was a victory. They emerged from Tongue River Cave around 10:30 p.m., nearly 8 hours after walking in, thinking it'd be just a chill little weekend adventure. If you thought this story was intense, just wait until you see the one popping up on your screen right now. It also started off as a simple little adventure, but ended way worse. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps a lot more than you might think. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.